One of the questions I get most often is for people who want to know Daniel's and my love story. For those of you who have just tuned in, I got married December 30th, 2015 to a very sweet man named Daniel. This is the two of us. We got married and Daniel is from Holland. So a lot of you might be asking or wondering, how does a girl from California meet a guy from Holland? So in the beginning of 2013, I went over to Holland for a Catholic conference that I was a part of. I was playing music for the conference. Daniel had been involved in ministry in Holland for a very, very long time, and he was going to be a part of that conference. So he, as a part of the conference, was sent to pick me up at the airport, and that day he had the job of taking me around and showing me the country in Europe, because I had never been to Europe before in my entire life. Daniel was the first person I ever met in a country outside of America. I got a passport just for this trip. So Daniel and I spent that day together, and then we were a part of the conference together. Daniel gave a little testimony at the conference and was part of everything that was going on that weekend. I was obviously couldn't believe how handsome he was, but was so impressed by how much he loved his faith, what a man of character and virtue, and I was just so impressed with who he was as a man, because obviously these days it's hard to find men of good virtue and character. Fast forward, I left a couple of days later, and I felt all this like shifting going on in my heart and in my life. And I didn't know if God was, using him as an example in my life, or just showing me an example of a good, holy man of virtue, and that there were still guys like that out there. So I got on my plane and went home, and Daniel sent me a Facebook message after I had gotten home. And I want to read you a little excerpt. If you have heard me give talks before, I used to talk about this when I was dating Daniel in my women's sessions. He said, "I must add, God has also placed a sense of restlessness on my heart, a desire to pursue you. It is hard for me to explain because honestly, I've never felt anything real like it before. But I feel desires to honor, serve, and protect you, but most importantly, do whatever I can to lead you ever closer to Christ in each possible way." Obviously, I was overcome with joy at this, because I was just like, oh my gosh, he would never even look at a girl like me. I'll totally forget that I even exist. And then I got this letter from him, and I was really, taken aback by that in the best way possible, because not a lot of guys really make their intentions clear. Like these days, it's just like a game of back and forth. Does he like me? Does he not? What's he thinking? Blah, blah, blah. So he was very straightforward, and I was super grateful for that, and super impressed by that. So fast forward, I visited again, and we decided to date for reals. We decided to date for reals and enter into a relationship after I went to visit. We really felt like God was calling us to a dating relationship with one another, even though it was super crazy far away. We dated long distance for a very, very long time, what felt like forever. I would go over there, every once in a while when I was on breaks, and Daniel was still in school getting his bachelor's and master's degrees, and so he would visit on his school breaks. Our first trip that was very long, Daniel came to America for 5 weeks to really see what it was like for us to be in person together. And then he came again for an internship for his master's degree for 6 months to really test out, like, what does day-to-day life dating look like in our lives, and does it work, and are we compatible for marriage, and just unpacking all those things that you need to unpack before you really seriously consider marrying someone. We discerned that God wanted us to get married, and Daniel proposed in February of 2015 after many, many Skype calls and letters, and a lot of him pursuing me, and Valentine's days spent having a date on FaceTime, where he would set up a little table and I would set up a little table, and we would put our phones up and have dinner with each other, and just fun things like that. So Daniel proposed, we got married in December, and God has been faithful throughout the whole thing. He called us to marriage, and we entered into that. Has it been easy? No, not at all. Our love story is one that's really, really crazy, and has all these facets, and I could spend 3 hours telling you, from start to finish, the, 3.5 years since it's been, but it's been really, really beautiful, because we have chosen to love one another every single day, through the hard times, through the good times. And that's what authentic love does. It's not an easy thing. It's a challenging thing. It's choosing one another every single day, no matter if you're in the same room, in the same house, or if you are thousands and thousands of miles apart from one another across the Atlantic Ocean. Here is the great news. Daniel has agreed to be on a relationship episode. I said, can you come on and answer some questions with me? So he's agreed to be on one episode, which I'm really, really excited about. He's not camera shy. This is just like my thing, and he wants it to be my thing, but he's agreed to do one with me. So if you want to send in your questions for the episode where you can meet Daniel, send in those to askemilywilson@gmail.com, and in the subject line you can put relationship episode, and we will answer those questions. We'll go through them together, see which ones we want to answer together, and then we'll make an episode in the next short while and put it up for you. So that's our love story, very abridged for all of you who wanted to know out there. God has a great plan for your life, whether that involves a love story or not. Whatever timing that love story is, God's got his hand in your life. So just trust him. Don't rush him. His timing is awesome. Crazy, but awesome. So keep your heart set. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.